Hey everybody, and welcome to the Sports Plug. My name is Xavier Williams, and thank you guys for tuning in yet again. If you are a first-time viewer, please like and share this broadcast if you're watching on Facebook Live or, of course, on YouTube Live as well. If you are on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you are on Facebook, make sure you like this page, like this post. Like I said, share so we can get some more viewers on this broadcast as well. Um, First and foremost, of course, we want to give a big shout out to all the fathers out there. Today is Father's Day. Of course, if you are under a rock, of course, we want to shout out to these dads out here. We want to go hard for the mothers on Mother's Day, like we did a couple episodes ago. We gotta go hard for the fathers because without them, we would not be here. So, of course, shout out to the fathers, and of course, this past weekend, shout out to Juneteenth. So, if you are not familiar with Juneteenth, it is the day that the slaves in Texas finally got their freedom because it took them about 2 years to get the declaration that they were freed. Um, so, of course, in Galveston, they celebrate Juneteenth, and it is something that has been celebrated in the Texas region for at least about 70 years. I know it was, like my father told me, it was something that was celebrated a little bit in the 90s. It's grown and grown over the decades and years, and it is a lot bigger than what it is now. Uh, so, of course, speaking of Father's Day, we want to give a shout out to the best father and son duos in sports. So, of course, in no particular order, they're just my opinions on the best father and son duo in sports. Of course, you hear some names that you know. You might hear some names that you don't know. We'll be talking about football, basketball, and baseball when it comes to the duos. And remember, they're father sons, so not brothers, not brother sisters. So some of the names you might say, well, I know some other guys that are better than this guy. You might be right, but for today, it's Father and Sunday. So we'll get started off with the Lucks, Andrew and Oliver Luck. Of course, most people know Andrew Luck for being the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts before he abruptly retired. Shout out to him, got to say that body. And Oliver Luck, who was most recently the XFL president before it unfortunately went to dust. But hopefully we can make a comeback, XFL. We need you out here. We need you. The McCaffreys, Ed and Christian. Ed McCaffrey, if you do not know, of course, wide receiver for Denver Broncos, won a couple Super Bowls with John Elway back in the 90s. And Christian McCaffrey, probably one of the best dual threat, I would say dual threat wise on running back because he can do it with his feet and also he can catch the ball. Hell of a running back. And I forgot who said it, but I want to say it might have been Gerald McCoy, but I might be wrong. But baddest white boy to touch a football. For right now, it might be true. We'll see. Shout out to the Jordans, Steve and Cam Jordan. Steve Jordan was a old school tight end actually. His son Cam Jordan, of course, plays for the New Orleans Saints, and I'm pretty sure, again, if you're watching this a little bit older than me, you know about more about Steve Jordan's accomplishments than I do. Got to add some coaches in there as well. The Ryans, Buddy, Rex, and Rob Ryan. Um, let's just say I feel like Rex and Rob underachieved a little bit compared to their father, Buddy Ryan. Buddy Ryan, of course, is the architect of the 1985 Bears defense, the 4-6 defense that he is accredited for. That pretty much Rex and Rob has been pretty much, let's just say, borrowing for the last 10 to 15 years with their defensive coordinator skills in the NFL. Also, probably the greatest coach in the NFL, like my father would like to say, the Shulas, Don Shula, Dave Shula, and also Mike Shula. Uh, the Shulas were more coaching than on the field. But to get back on the field, we'll get to Clay Matthews, the Matthews family. We have Clay Sr., Clay Jr., and Clay the Third. And don't forget Casey. Now, pretty sure again, if you're around my age, you definitely know Clay the Third, who is Clay Matthews the Third, who is the wild child with wild hair that plays for, or, I'm sorry, that did play for the Green Bay Packers. Casey Matthews as well in that era. Clay Jr. played in the 80s, and Clay Sr. played back in the 50s. The Longs, Howie, Chris, and Kyle Long. Um, Definitely probably one of the more accomplished father-son duos are on this list. Howie, of course, with the LA Raiders back in the day. Chris and Kyle with the Eagles, the Rams, and Kyle, of course, with the Chicago Bears. Excuse me. The Slaters, Jackie Matthew Slater. Jackie is well known, more known for, of course, his play back in the day. And Matthew Slater, of course, name rings a bell because that is the special teams, let's just say, extraordinaire for the New England Patriots. Probably the best special teams guy we've seen since Devin Hester. And what I mean by that is he makes a name for himself, of course, on special teams like Devin Hester did by returning the football. Now we have another Matthews family, but this time it is Bruce Matthews and Mike Matthews and also Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews is the grandfather. Bruce Matthews is the father, offensive lineman, Hall of Famer for the Houston Oilers. Mike Matthews, Kevin Matthews, and Jake Matthews, who most of you probably know Jake Matthews, offensive lineman for the new Atlanta Falcons. They're most known for, of course, their offensive lineman skills. And of course, football royalty, the Mannings, who probably are the top-notch father-son duo in football, at least when it comes to quarterback position-wise. Of course, you have Archie Manning with the New Orleans Saints, and you have Peyton Manning and Eli Manning with 2 Super Bowls apiece to be able to finish off that family. And of course, if you are not a sports fan, you're tuning in for the first time, they also have an older brother named Cooper Manning, who was supposed to be before Peyton and Eli, who was supposed to be a pretty dang good wide receiver, and unfortunately, he had a on the field incident or on the field injury that would not allow him to continue on and play football. So who would have known if Archie would have went out there and did his thing? The time will tell on that one. But basketball wise, we have the Waltons, Bill and Luke Walton. Now, I know a lot of people forget about Bill's accomplishment as a basketball player because he probably was not, um, let's just say, he probably wasn't given the right recognition for the things that he did for the Portland Trailblazers. Because the last time the Portland Trailblazers won a championship was with Bill Walton. And coming out of UCLA with Bill Walton, he was supposed to be that next big, great center. Unfortunately, due to injuries, it just did not happen. Luke followed suit, went to UCLA as well. Let's just be real. I think we all know by watching Luke Walton play, he was good, just wasn't his dad, and he was able to play a secondary role with the Lakers and win a couple championships with Kobe and Shaq Lakers. So, hey, you got to get it how you live, right? We also cannot forget about the Currys, Dell, Stephen, and also Seth. Don't forget about Steph Curry. Seth. I hate saying his name because it doesn't look the way you're supposed to say it. I hate his name. So the Currys. You can't forget, of course, about Dell Curry playing with those throwback Charlotte Hornets uniforms, Larry Johnson and them. Of course, Stephen Curry, what he's doing now, pretty much expanding the game with the 3-point line, being able to shoot from distances that you're not supposed to shoot from, and of course Seth, I should say, with the way that he's able to be a pretty good guard for the Dallas Mavericks and being able to be a great piece with that rebuilding team in Dallas. Now, I know a name that you probably see and you probably like, what is that? That is the Vandeweghes. I know that name sounds very familiar to some. We have Ernie and Kiki Vandeweghe. Now, again, everybody probably remembers Kiki Vandeweghe, but Ernie Vandeweghe was a good basketball himself. I'm sorry, Ernie Vandeweghe was a pretty good basketball player himself, and that is, of course, the reason why Kiki got his skills from, and and to be able to translate his skills from his father to where he was in the 90s. Of course, we saw his skill set. Now, another father-son duo that doesn't share the same last name, Jimmy Walker and Jalen Rose. Jimmy Walker wasn't a household name, and maybe Jalen Rose might not be a household name on the basketball court. He might be on the TV screen now with his contributions on ESPN. Jalen Jacoby, shout out to him on that. But his father was a pretty good basketball player as well. Jalen Rose talks about his father from his Michigan days to where he is now, and for this list for father-son duos, they are definitely on that list. Of course, shout out to Kobe and Joe Bryant. Joe Jellybean Bryant was a pretty good basketball player himself. He had most of his reign overseas in Italy and in Europe. Of course, that is why Kobe became the man that he was today when it comes to being able to speak different languages because he grew up overseas, and they are number two on our list for basketball wise on father son duos. And number one, the Berries. Rick, John, Brent, and Drew. Of course, most people know Rick Barry for his playing days with the Golden State Warriors, and most know John and Brent for their play in this generation era. Most people know Brent Barry from the San Antonio Spurs, winning a three-point shootout, and also being in the dunk contest. I know that's one of his accolades that he loves bringing up. All right, so we're done with basketball. Now we get into MLB with baseball. The Boones. Now, don't forget about we have Aaron Boone, of course, who has one of the most famous Yankees home runs in postseason history, and also is the Yankees' new manager. We also have Brett Boone, Bob Boone, and Ray Boone. Don't forget about the Alomars, Sandy Roberto and Sandy Jr. Alomar. Don't forget about the fielders, Cecil and Prince Fielder, who, let's just say, they definitely have the long ball going, and chicks love the long ball. The Alous, Felipe and Moises. I, as a kid, remember watching Moises Alou play. One of my favorite baseball players, very underrated. I know my dad probably remember watching Felipe play. Two great baseball players do not get their just due. Of course, if you are a just a easy goer baseball guy, you know about the Griffeys, Ken and Ken Griffey Jr. I'm pretty sure they are the only, not the only, but one of few. I want to say one of few baseball father and son duos to play at the same time. I want to say they're the only father son. I have to go have to go fact check that and see if they're the only father son duos to play on the same team at the same time. Because if you recall back a couple of years ago, LeBron James did say that he would like to play either against or with his son. That is something that could happen. It might happen. We'll see. But it is also something that you have to take into account. That is a really cool feat to accomplish, being able to be a father and also to be able to be a younger person. You're 18, 19 years old, be able to play in MLB, and then also be 35, or sorry, 38, 40 years old to still be able to be productive in any sport. So shout out to the Griffeys and shout out to the sweetest swing in baseball, King Griffey Jr. One of my other favorite swings, of course, Barry Bonds. Now we have our favorites. Probably my favorite baseball duos is the Bonds, Barry, and Bobby Bonds. Bobby Bonds, of course, is more known for his contributions in the 50s and 60s. Of course, if you know a little bit about Barry Bonds, his godfather is Willie Mays Hayes. So that's another reason why Barry was able to have a pretty productive career in the MLB. So, like I said, we have our father son duos for our sports evening. And now the real question is, will we even have a sports season this year? And it's not even talking about football, basketball, or baseball. It's all sports. Basketball is trying to finish up their season. They're trying to get together in Orlando, but what it looks like right now, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I'm sorry, it looks like it's going to happen, but it looks like it's going to be very, very doubtful due to the steps and precautions that they have to make just to be able to be safe. So I think it could happen, but just due to a lot of people that could get sick from it, I wouldn't be surprised if they shut it down. Now, again, time will tell. Um, every day is something new. Um, and just going to the college side of things, our 2019 national champion LSU football team, 30 football players are quarantined now, right now due to COVID. And it is unfortunate, but those are the precautions that they're going to have to take to make sure that their team as a whole, with their 100 and I'm pretty sure 130 players on the LSU squad, to make sure that everybody is safe and that they want to make sure that everybody is coming home safely and making sure that they are healthy enough to be able to play the season if we even do have a season. We also have 10 athletes at Iowa State that have tested positive as well. We also have 6 athletes at University of Houston, right down the street from us, that have tested positive as well. So when it comes to the college scene, we have athletes from Central Florida, Oklahoma State University, Auburn University, Florida State University, and Arkansas State University that has tested positive as well for COVID. What does that mean for the college scene of sports, at least just for football coming up? I'll be completely honest with you guys. I don't know. I if they're going to do what Dr. Fauci said from the CDC, he said for the NFL, if they want to come back, they are going to have to test every player regularly in pretty much every day after a workout or practice, meeting, or workout, whatever it is, they're going to have to get tested every day. So that means you're going to have a test per player and also staff member per day for the next, let's just say, 20 days. So that's, let's just say, 100 and I'll just say 250 tests times 20 days per one team times 32 teams. This is just the NFL. Um, Again, that's just the NFL. Going to college football, we have what 253 D1 schools and another 200 plus D2 schools. I mean, from what I see right now, we could have school at home. There could be school people that do go to these universities. They could be going to school either in at home or in their dorms or whatever it is. And if they do play these games, they are probably going to play them without fans because it is going to be very hard to be able to have fans in stadiums, knowing the risk, and the only way that you're going to be able to, as in the stadiums or the people that run the stadiums, I should say, to be able to make a profit is you're going to have people sign waivers to be able to come in into your stadium and and be able to be okay with exposing themselves to COVID-19. So it is very, very difficult right now to say if the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, if they're coming back or not, because we are on a day by day standby. Um, I'm waiting, just like you guys are waiting on if we're going to have any type of sports. And I guess that can go to my next question. I mean, if you guys are listening out there and checking this show out, will we finish the NBA season? Like I said, we were supposed to go to Orlando and Disney World, and they're supposed to finish up the NBA season. But from right now, again, they're still unsure they're going to be able to finish off the season over there. So when we have our next show, we'll definitely be able to fill you guys in on what's going on with NBA. But for right now, it is very tough to say because yes, money rules the world, but at the end of the day, these players also help everybody make money. So I hope these players understand the amount of power that they have in their hands to be able to say, hey, if we don't feel comfortable, y'all can shut it down. So I hope they understand that in the NBA. The MLB, will they be able to come together on both sides and have a 60 game season? Right now, it seems like they are going back and forth. Like I said, going back and forth from the players and executives on what type of schedule they want. And at the end of the day, it revolves around money. The players don't want to lose money. The executives don't want to lose money. So it's just very hard to be able to have, very hard to come to an agreement when there's so much money at stake and involved in this type of business. Because at the end of the day, NBA, MLB, and NFL, who we're about to talk about next, yes, it's sports, it's fun, but at the end of the day, it's a business, and they're about making money, and they have to look at their profit margins as well and figure out where they're going to have to start cutting costs at certain things. So we'll see how that plays out. Uh, Shout out to Andrew Von Wiesenthal for checking out the show. He says, I think there should be a limited roster for college football, similar to NFL, but not as small of a roster, maybe like 75 to 85 students. He also goes on to say that would limit the tests they give and cut costs there. Plus, the athletes getting paid now, so it should be the best of the best college athletes. Well, I understand where you're coming from, Andrew. I definitely agree with you. They probably should limit the rosters, but again, if you got to remember, if you limit the rosters for college, you're taking somebody's scholarship away. This isn't NFL where you can let somebody go and they can go home and go find another job. They come to this school to to be able to come to school for free on that scholarship. If you are a walk on or if you are a preferred walk on, of course that are different things. So we'll see what happens with that, but you can't just say, "Hey, we're just going to cut you because of COVID, so go ahead and go home." That guy's on scholarship, so we'll see. And then also to tell you as well, college athletes aren't technically getting paid right now, or technically they are not getting paid. So again, with the headlines that college athletes are getting paid, that is not true. College athletes are able to make money off of their likeness and be able to make money outside of college. That is the point of quote unquote getting paid, being able to make money, not get in trouble for your likeness is the point. So thank you. Like I said, thank you, Andrew, for the comment. Um, and also, like I said, finish up. Will we have an NFL season? It's hard to say. That is a $4 billion business that wants to make sure that they are um, going no matter what. Last I saw, Brady is still in midseason form out there working out in Tampa, getting ready. Some of the NFL guys I know, they're still out there getting ready. They are practice or they're working out like they are getting ready for the NFL season. Um, but time will tell with this COVID situation and time will tell with the higher powers on what they want to do when it comes to moving this needle, and if they're going to say, "Hey, we're going to shut it down," or if, like I talked about with the college scene of football, if they're going to play with no fans, because that could happen. And if that does happen, then we'll see where that goes. But I'll say this with all sports, football, basketball, baseball, you have to have the fans. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the statistics say or whatever. I would shut it down for all sports for this year to be able to come back healthy next year, for athletes, the fans, for everybody to be able to come back healthy next year. This is just me, just a little guy that's not running anything. If we want to be able to have a healthy and successful 2021, let's make sure that we're able to look out for everyone, and look out for the athletes, the concession stand person, the executive, the mascot of your team. Look out for everyone, and let's hopefully beat this COVID, and move on to 2021 in a better year. So, like I said, to finish off, I appreciate you guys for checking out the sports plug yet again. We'll be back uh, later on in the week. Like I said again, like and share. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube. And thank you guys for checking out the show. Again, happy Father's Day to everybody. Oh, and before we go, I just want to shout out to my father. Shout out to my father, and shout out to hold on, let's dim this down a little bit. Shout out to my father, and shout out to my grandfather. May he rest in peace. Um, this is when he graduated from U of H. And then also, of course, shout out to your boy in the braids. You feel me? Look, we got the braids rocking. But, anyways, like I said, shout out to my father. Um, I wouldn't be the man I am today without him. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next time.